Was good, man. So today, Shannon Sharpe finally breaks his silence on the whole undisputed departure, how that all went down, and he was talking to Stephen A. Smith. Let me know what y'all think. Hit the comments, hit the like button. He really gets into it because it was kind of making, like, Stephen A's really been mixing it up a lot lately, taking shots at Undisputed and stuff at Skip, and they brought up the whole Max Kellerman thing. Shout out to me, by the way. Y'all can check out that video. It's on here, the whole T.O. and Stephen A thing from like 3 years ago, but whatever. So he's running around acting like he's Shannon Sharpe's savior. Because remember, the departure was kind of weird. It was like a whole buyout agreement, and I'm like, hold up, why would Fox buy out Shannon's contract and let him go to the competitor? But then you hear the story the other week that they wanted him out and they didn't appreciate him airing out everyone's business, that Skip had a problem. Remember the bosses had an issue with Skip's DeMar Hamlin tweet. They didn't want that getting out there. They felt like Shannon put out their laundry, and then he didn't show up the next day after that game when Skip put out that tweet. So to Fox and for Skip, that was like the final straw. So they get into it. Listen to this. Let me know what y'all think.
Me, Skip, and Charlie Dixon.
Okay.
We had a conversation, and I think I conveyed my point fairly well. No matter how much longer I was on the show, how much longer I was going to be at FS1, that level of disrespect wouldn't be tolerated.
He made sure to make that point. And how receptive they were. I've known Charlie for years. Charlie's a good man. Obviously, I've known Skip for a long time. How was that received when you said that?
I said my piece and I got up and walked out. I don't really think there was anything else to discuss or have a discussion. It had already been said. I just wanted to say my piece.
Mm-hmm.
And I moved on.
Yeah.
I have, it's like, I really don't have, I've never had a whole lot of relationship with the bosses because I really never really saw them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like, we're going out to lunch or we're going out to dinner or things like that. That wasn't the case. I just want to go to work. I just want to go to work, do my job, come home, be the best person on personality I can be the best person I can be in my home, in the community. That's all I want to do.
Right.
That's it. All this other stuff that potentially has to come along with it, I can do without that, Stephen. And I can honestly do without that.
This, and I hear where you're coming from, but just 3 weeks later, I believe it was January 4th, 2023, a couple of days earlier, DeMar Hamlin had collapsed on the football field.
Mm-hmm.
The next day on FS1, you were not there. You were not in attendance for that show. And then January 4th, you showed up, and here is you expressing your frustration in the aftermath of the DeMar Hamlin situation when you were on the set with Skip Bayless. Take a look at this.
Skip tweeted something, and although I disagreed with the tweet, and hopefully Skip would take it down, but I didn't want it.
Well, time out. I'm not going to take it down because I stand by what I tweeted.
Skip, let me finish.
All right, okay.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Go ahead, let's go, Jen.
Okay.
I mean, I cannot even get through a monologue without you interrupting me.
Well,
you could have came back, Skip.
Well, I thought,
Skip, just let.
I didn't know you were going to bring up.
No, I was just going to say, Skip, I didn't want to yesterday to get into a situation where DeMar Hamlin was the issue. We should have been talking about him and not get into your tweet. That's what I was going to do. But you can't even let me finish my opening monologue without you interrupting.
Okay. I was under the impression you weren't going to bring this up because nobody here had a problem with that tweet.
No. Clearly, the bosses wanted you to offer explanation, so clearly somebody.
No, they did not have. Nobody.
Let's go, Jen.
That moment right there, because usually as you see me, as I'm prepping for the show, I don't get an opportunity to watch the competition too often, but I saw that, and the second I saw that, two thoughts came to my mind. Number one, and I told you this when I saw you a few months later, I said, Shannon, never, ever give up that seat. You should have been there the next day. You should have been there. I don't give a damn if you sat up there and said nothing. You can't. You don't give up that seat. That's exactly what I said to you. Remember that, right? That's exactly what I did tell you. Never give up that seat. That's what I said to Kenny Smith when Kenny Smith walked off the TNT. Said, "That's my brother. I love him to death." But I said, don't give up that seat. That's number one. And number two, I also told you that is the day I knew it was over. You would be leaving. I said, there is no way. The Skip Bayless that I know, the Shannon Sharpe that I came to know, the television business, the way that I know it, there is no way in hell they survived that together. It is over. Right. Shannon's going to be gone. Your thoughts that day?
You did. You told me a lot of things leading up to that point. I think the thing for me is that I saw DeMar Hamlin and my brother. I remember watching my brother lay temporary paralyzed on the field, and I saw a lot of DeMar Hamlin in that situation. For me, even though he opened the show the day that I wasn't there, saying his bosses wanted him to offer an explanation. And when I said the bosses had a problem with what you said, he simply said they did not, when he had clearly said to himself that the bosses had a problem with what he said and he needed to clarify it. I agree with you. Probably if I could go back and do one thing differently, there are a couple of things. That situation, I definitely would not have, I definitely should have reported. I'm sure they held that against me, but
reported to work. Reported to work.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. I should have gone in there and sat down and not, if I show up to work, I'm gonna work. It's not like I'm gonna sit there and hold in while I'm there. No, I would have absolutely done my job, and that's probably one of the moments in my tenure that I'm least proud of, that I didn't show up, because on all the other jobs I've ever had, I've never not shown up for work. And for me not to show up for work, I should have, and I was wrong in that situation. And maybe that was the final straw, maybe that was the coup de grace that they used to say, okay, we want to move on without Shannon Sharpe, whatever the case may be. I was wrong in that instance for not showing up to work.
But that particular day, when you responded the way that you responded, when you were interrupted, was that your way of just saying, I'm done, I've had enough?
Well, I was just like, okay, let me get through the monologue. If you have anything that you want to object to, you want to add, you can do it then. At least just let me get through the monologue. Because, Stephen A., like, if you remember a couple of months later, I had an incident at the Laker game with the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
Is that when I did what I did, I didn't have anything. That was from my heart.
Yeah.
I don't put anything in prompter. That was me speaking.
Yeah.
And when I was talking
I told
about
you handled that right too. I told you handled that right, absolutely, because you can't
the
put
DeMar Hamlin situation, Stephen A., that was from my heart. There was nothing written in prompter. My farewell speech, there was nothing written in prompter. So I just wanted him to let me get through. He could object to anything that I said that he liked or disliked or he wanted to add. That was fine, but just let me get through it. But at that point in time, I just think the thing is, he was like, I don't really want to hear anything else he has to say. I just want to move on, and that was fine. But if you notice, to go back to that Tom Brady, and this is what a lot of people was most proud of, that if you didn't see that moment, you would have never known that moment happened in the show. Because I went on and carried on like nothing happened. And that happened very early in the show, Stephen A. Yeah. I went on and did my job the last 2.5 minutes, the last 2 hours and 15 minutes of that show. If you did not watch that actual segment, you would have never known Skip and I had an issue. That's how well I compartmentalized what had transpired. And I think athletes do a great job of compartmentalizing, because a lot of times, being an ex-professional athlete, Stephen A., we deal with things that.
So yeah, that was Shannon's, basically letting everybody know his opinion, his side of the story. Like I said, it's kind of been like a damage control press run between him and Stephen A. and Skip lately. Everybody's trying to make sure that their nose looks clean when this is all said and done. And everybody's got their own faults to it. But yeah, I mean, he didn't show up for work. I probably should have went back and I should have showed up. You never leave that seat. But yeah, these guys, it's just move on. You know what I mean? And Undisputed, actually, I'm kind of digging the chemistry with Richard Sherman and Keyshawn and Michael Irvin. Shannon and Skip. Speaking of that, Shannon's called Stephen A. Skip like twice since he's been on his first take. But, they're going to have to work together a little bit more than 2 days a week to get that chemistry, in my opinion. But, Yeah, it's like, okay, can y'all move on after this already? We don't need any more of this. It's over. We got it. We knew the moment the whole Brady conversation happened that Shannon was pissed. We knew it was over at that point. I thought it was gonna be over after the Super Bowl. Props to him. He lasted till what, March, April, whatever it was, May. You know, I didn't think it was gonna last that long, but hey, it is what it is. Now, will Stephen A. be a man enough to bring Max Kellerman on his show and hash it out with Max? That's what I would be more interested in seeing at this point. You know, that's because that's more. I don't know. That to me, that's a conversation that I don't think Stephen A. would want to have publicly because that's all about his insecurities as a black man. That's what that's all about. His insecurities as a black man. Well, he wouldn't even put that out there publicly. But that would be a way better, interesting conversation to me at this point. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. I'm out.